That black soot looks kind of shiny, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's shiny and it looks like it's hard. Maybe in some spots it's kind of, you know,
Yeah.
stickery
It
looking.
does look burned, doesn't it?
Yes, very, yeah, it's unusual looking.
So Kelly, can you imagine if we lived in the Bronze Age? That road probably wasn't even there, and there might have still been water in this valley. And
Yeah.
we could have been a bunch of those evil people that were cannibals with red hair, giving the Paiute people just a hard time, eating up their children and their aunts, nephews, grandma, grandpa, everybody in the village, you know? And this would have been our last view before we got burned alive for all our evil deeds.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yes, it's very crazy.
Like I said, this is not the only place in the world that there's been evidence of giants, either by oral tradition or written traditions, such as in the Torah of ancient Israel. And so it's kind of bone chilling, actually, thinking about it, that people would choose to do that.
Yeah. It looks like it burned so hot that it turned it to glass.
Ancient document that mentions the giants in the earth at that time. It looks like Greek, but it's not. It's Hebrew. And Hebrew is written and read from right to left, top to bottom. This first word right here is pronounced Bereshit, and it means in a beginning, not in the beginning, but in a beginning. And that's the first word of Genesis, the book of Genesis. In Hebrew, the numbers are written with letters. Here's the Aleph, which is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So this is saying that this is chapter 1, verse 1. And this says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In a beginning, not in the beginning, in a beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. We want to find chapter 6, verse 4. Here is the Hebrew Wav, or today known as the Vav, and that represents the number 6. So this is chapter 6, and the Aleph is verse 1. We want verse 4. Let's look ahead and see if we can find 4. There's the Hebrew Dalet, the fourth letter in the Hebrew alphabet. That's chapter 6, verse 4. And this says, Ha Nephilim. Ha, the Nephilim. Ha Nephilim. Let's look at it in English. 6 verse 4. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of Elohim, angels, came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown, or the men of name. You can also find information about them in the book of Enoch, 1 Enoch 1:36. I imagine in ancient times, years ago, there was some similar appearance to what we see here with the tules and the reeds and the water. Imagine in ancient times, ancient Lake Lahontan, with all the tules growing on the banks and the people living here hunting waterfowl and making different types of watercraft or canoes from the reeds, and making sandals from the reeds, building materials from the reeds, hunting all the ducks. It might have looked similar to this that we're looking at right now. map of where we were today in Nevada. There's Lake Tahoe, and there's Reno. Catch Interstate 80 east to just south of Lovelock, Nevada. Well, as a lot of you know, I'm a Navy veteran, and I had a subscriber get me this great t-shirt from Maine. Apparently they're still building warships and submarines up there, and I think someone in their family is a welder up there, so that was very nice. Thank you very much. And I also got a letter and a nice check to help cover gas expenses, etc., from Thomas all the way in Boise, Idaho. Thank you very much, Thomas. Much appreciated. And also, a very interesting book was sent to me anonymously from Las Vegas, Nevada. It's a scholarly work. It's at university level. It's talking about the Declaration of Independence and Thomas Paine's history and how he helped found the United States of America. It's really interesting. Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it. The Declaration of Independence, Thomas Paine and Your Freedom by Professor Andrew Galambos. Well, hello everybody. Today we're headed eastbound in Pershing County, Nevada on Interstate 80. And just to the right of us is a very interesting site. It's called the Lovelock Caves. And what's interesting about it is, I just remember years ago, I was in a museum. It was actually in Virginia City. We're not going to Virginia City today, but it was about 1978, 1979. In my younger years, I remember seeing a huge skull. It was definitely a human skull. It wasn't plaster of Paris. You could tell it was real. And that's the biggest skull I've ever seen. They had it on display in a plexiglass case. And for some reason, that's totally disappeared and no one's heard of that. I know I saw it personally. So just this whole, subject is just surrounded by a lot of mystery.
Yes. Yeah, you've told me that story a few times, and I can see where it would make a big impression. It's like, are you sure this is real? It's a big skull.
Here we are, exit 105 off Interstate 80. Going underneath the interstate, we're gonna make a right at the stop sign. Interesting kiosk at the Lovelock Museum in Lovelock, and they have a really great map that shows all the different highway markers on the National Backcountry Byway for Lovelock Cave. See all the numbers on them like that? And that's where we went, across the farm country. We went this route. There's another alternative route you can use, return route. And we went all the way down here to the cave. You'll notice by the Humboldt River, which is one of the, if not the biggest river in Nevada, that right next to it went the California Trail. A lot of our ancestors went across that trail right there. And it almost parallels right by the cave. This is where the pavement ends to the Lovelock Cave Byway. Slowing down a little bit. Got some gravel going on. Road's in good shape though. So basically this area in ancient times was a marsh area along the lake. It may have looked similar to this. So the cave was discovered in 1911. It was known as the Sunset Guano Cave. Of course, guano is the droppings from bats, and it's an excellent fertilizer. And they were using it as a fertilizer. And the men were digging around. They found these huge human bones up there in the cave. So when word got out that they had found those big skeletons up there in the cave, it raised quite a stir. And they found, like I said, bones that were from giants. And they found a shoe that was made out of, I believe it was made out of tools from the toolies. And it was basically, it was a size 29. Now, Shaquille O'Neal's a size 22, so that gives you an idea of the size. But there was a lot of, a big push in the San Francisco area to discredit the whole discovery. And believe it or not, over 100 years ago, the University of California at Berkeley went out of their way to totally discredit anything about this discovery when it was plain as day for even a sheep herder or a cowboy to see that these were human bones. They said, oh no, those are animal bones, and you people don't know what you're talking about, and this kind of thing. So it was a cover-up almost immediately.
Well, we decided to stop and take a little walk around some of these little cave mountains and kind of check out what would have been the shoreline in those days. Well, we decided to get a little closer look. If you notice that these rocks, they have some unusual shapes, which kind of indicates that there could have been some water here at this point. And we do know that the Lake Lahontan, the Great Lake Lahontan, was here at one time.
You can see how large they are with Kellie providing a reference. And see what they look like? See up close? Let me get right up to them. This is the kind of thing that you would see over at Walker Lake. They're hard, just like a tufa type of a mineral on there. Definitely looks like they were underwater at one time. Found something very, very interesting. Thousands and thousands of bones, tiny bones from rodents. See, there's a skull. There's another one. You can see the skull and the teeth. See all the bones? But look at how big this pile of bones is over here. It's like every owl or hawk in the country must come over here and bring all their rodents that they've caught. See all the bones? Look at that. And the owl pellets, that's an owl pellet. They cough those up, the fur and the bones. This must be a place where all the owls cough up all the bones. How strange. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite this big like that. It's about 10 feet long and 7 feet across. And it's all just bones from raptors. The Sitka were known as a red-haired cannibalistic race, and they were always attacking the local tribes here because they preferred to eat people. So we're gonna continue on our way to the caves. I'm glad we take a little detour and check out some of these spots that a lot of other YouTubers have not covered. It was really interesting because in the 1940s, a lot of the bones that they found here went into federal repositories or private collections. They basically swept all the evidence under the rug. And it's hard to know what their motives were for that. There's been quite a few videos done on the Lovelock caves and the red-haired giants, and there's been a lot of, they're very good and researched, and I'd recommend, if you're interested in the subject, to check those out, because today we're almost doing like just almost like a drive-by. We're just coming up here for the day, and we're not having a big research team and interviewing professors and all that. We're just coming up here, boots on the ground, to check it out and to show everybody. It's nice they've got a restroom up here, places to park.
Like places to park.
Developed site. I've kind of lost confidence in some of that signage, like I said, because Dr. Margaret Henderson had some trouble when she was trying to research this, along with Dr. James Morrison, who was denied access, and his funding mysteriously was withdrawn when he started to research this site. So I'm not sure if it just didn't fit the narrative of what was popular in archaeology at the time, but I know it took till the 2010s until there was a breakthrough in the research. Independent researchers had found some small bone fragments and I believe some fragments of the hair, and they did some DNA testing, and they found some haplogroup markers in the hair sample, and it proved that the red giant bones and hair that were found here at the caves were from the European Bronze Age, and the people were from the Caspian Sea area. So the only thing that makes sense with the evidence would be perhaps around, they think between, when they did the dating, between 2030 and 1218 BCE, a group of people came from the Caspian Sea region, perhaps on seafaring boats or rafts, and came into this area. And that's when the trouble started, and these cannibals started eating the native tribes here. One thing creepy too about the bones that they did the testing on, the independent testing, they did some kind of isotope testing on the bone density, and they found out that these people were eating a lot of protein, and they're hypothesizing that they were probably cannibals. So you can see the entrance there. So perhaps this entryway, the red giants thought this was a defensible position, and they came in here because all the local tribes, the Paiutes included, came together to try to get this scourge out of their land because they were tired of their loved ones and people in their community getting murdered and eaten by this group of people, that the red-haired giants from wherever they were from. And they were actively hunting these predators, the red-haired giants, and they boxed them into this cave. And they came in this cave thinking they were safe, and the natives took a lot of brush and branches and stuffed it at the entryway, and then they set this place on fire. And you can see all the dark soot. It looks very similar to a cave that we go to often near the Yamba Indian reservation that's had a lot of fires in it. You see the smoke? But the researchers said that the fire that occurred here, there was a big fire, and they said the temperature, I believe, was above 800 degrees Celsius, and it burned for several days, and all the skeletons that were found in here were charred skeletons. So I think what happened were that the Native Americans came up against the red giants and set those fires, and the smoke inhalation killed them, and there wasn't any left. They were able to exterminate every one of the cannibals, and then they were covered with guano over the years and then rediscovered years later.
Most of these stories are based on folklore, but there's a little bit to these stories, and Doug feels that some of this research that he has read, that it's true.
Kellie, I heard the local museum in Lovelock has a lot of information on the cave.
Yeah, I had a man stop in from the Lovelock Museum in the Mineral County Museum, because I work there, and he was telling me all about the Lovelock Museum and that they really focused a lot on the giants. So if you're really interested in that story, you should stop in the Lovelock Museum.
Kellie's being really careful. There's some steps right here. Another platform. It is dark in here. Shining my light on it so you can see. We're doing a little poking around in here. We both got lights, and we're gonna see what we can see for everybody. This is one of the far corners of the cave. And there seems to be a little bit of fairly recent animal activity, but you can see, oh, that's a good spot to really see, if I can get through here, to really see where, look how it got burned up there. Look at that. How interesting. Yeah, this definitely was a big fire in here. Like I said before, the research has shown that the fire, it was a one-time event. It wasn't like there was people in here having fires over the years. It was a one-time event, a very extreme temperature. And the I believe the oral account said that it took like several days or a week for the fire to go out. We'll poke around as much as we can.
Doug is going to go just a little further down there.
See what I can find. I'm not doing any spelunking. I'm just doing a quick walkthrough, not going anywhere dangerous. It's not like people haven't been here before. I see a lot of footprints. I get an idea of the size of the cave. There's another spot. That goes underneath there. Oh, that goes to the outside. See that? And then this goes underneath. Like that. You can see the viewing platform in the distance. There's Kellie. It's got a lot of fresh air coming in here, though. It's not like going to the Layman caves where there's not a lot of fresh air, but you can see the entire ceiling, if you will, of the cave is charred black. Personally, I would trust the accounts of the natives' oral tradition because they're from here. They've lived here for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they wouldn't have a story like that for no reason. You know, before people crossed the Atlantic and settled the United States, these people had already been here a long, long time. So I think there's a lot of credibility to the accounts of the Paiute. And then my question is, why did the Smithsonian Institute and the University of California at Berkeley and some of the other universities, why did they try to cover this up and keep the information away from researchers? That just sounds really suspicious to me. So, like I said, the Paiute have been here a long time. I trust their account. I trust their oral tradition account more than some well-funded government institution. So this would have been the shoreline at one point when the lake was here. It's easy to imagine there being a lake here. And now it's the humble abode of pigeons. Humble abode of the pigeon. So Kellie, what's your thoughts on this site?
Well, it's a very interesting place. It's got some beautiful views here. It's nice that you can go in the cave. It's free of charge. It's not been destroyed. It's in good shape.
There's no graffiti.
No graffiti.
It's not fenced off.
It's easy to get to. It's just a very easy thing to do. So yeah, I think it's a great place to go.
I would definitely think it's a family-friendly place to bring the family.
Yes.
Well, we decided to have lunch in the car because the wind just picked up. It's just whipping out there. The door felt like it was 150 pounds to close it, didn't it?
It was very heavy.
But we've got a great view. I'll show you where our view is. There you can get an idea of the size of the mountain that the cave's on. The cave's up there to the left. And you can see there's some people going along the trail there. Kelly, what do we have for lunch today?
Well, today we're going to have some roast beef sandwiches with some fresh pineapple and some nuts and apples and pickles. And
looks super healthy as usual. Delicious.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is so comfortable and warm. I'm going to put my sandwich together here. Is this homemade bread too?
Yes.
Awesome. You know what's weird is why, like, what if those were like in the film? Like they're half human being and half like angels, you know, fallen angels or something. Either way, it's like they had a lot of food to eat around here and they still wanted to eat other people.
Yeah.
How awful is that? You know, I kind of look at that as like good riddance, right? The poor Paiute people are probably sick of that, sick of those people. They were bad neighbors for sure.
Obviously, they were sick
Yeah,
of that.
yeah. Good for them, they got rid of them. Whatever they were. We're getting out of here just in time, Kelly. That wind's picking up.
Yes,
Look at that
is.
dust kicking up. It's heading this way, too. I think it's time to hightail it out of here. There's the old train station in Lovelock, Nevada. As you can see, it says Lovelock on it. This is the downtown. Would you say it's about the same size as Hawthorne is?
Yeah,
Kelly?
I think it's
Something like that?
comparable.
Comparable. Small town.
Right.
This is a nice building up here. It looks like some kind of a... Is that the courthouse?
I would assume that. I don't really know.
It says courthouse on it.
Yeah. That looks like I just went by.
Really close to the freeway. It's unfortunately closed today. Speaking of museums, we have Kellie Zuniga from the Mineral County Museum in Hawthorne, Nevada. What do we have here, Kelly?
Well, we have the Marsden House here behind me.
Is that where the museum's at?
Yeah, that's part of the museum.
It looks like an older historical home. Let's go take a look. You can see how close the museum is to the highway. Here they have some of the old mining equipment back from the day. And it seems that the museum is all decked out for a holiday. Oh, that's interesting. The old assay office. Look at this old international truck they have. It has wooden wheels just like a carriage would have. That's got a lot of wood on it. Here's a plaque commemorating Lovelock's illustrious La Belle brothel that operated between 1961 and 1981.
Look at this part. It says, many Lovelock locals have fond memories of the ladies of the night sunbathing on the La Belle's roof during their non-business hours. One other time, a group of high school boys liberated a construction sign and placed it in front of the establishment that said, "Caution, men and equipment at work."
It looks like it had more than one fireplace on the old home. Here's our cookie clip for this week, everybody. What do we have today, Kelly?
Well, we have apple brownies.
Apple brownies. Are those from apples from your apple tree?
Yes, they are.
Oh, wonderful. Those are good apples. Look at those. Yummy, yummy. Look at that, everybody. Can't wait to bite into one of those. Looks delicious.
Well, it was a very fun day. We enjoyed learning about the folklore of the giants out of Lovelock Cave, and if nothing, it was an archaeological dig that was very interesting to look at, and we had a good time. We'll see you next week, everybody.
I think it was fun.
Yes, it was.